Hello and welcome to my vlog. This is my ninth vlog or 10th vlog. It's vlog 009. I'll have the numbers somewhere in the corner or somewhere else display correctly. And today I wanted to talk about my past month, NaNoWriMo, my hackathon this year, some of the lessons, and what I might want to do next year. Now, this isn't my official, this is what I want to do in 2018, and this is my retrospective 2017. It's kind of just like leading up to it. I have a few thoughts. And I wanted to follow the format from last time where I'm going to be playing one of my favorite games while I talk, which means that I'm going to be constantly distracted, but that's okay. So let's switch to it. Alright, so today I'm going to be playing Unreal Tournament. And I think I'm going to have to tone down the audio. You should be able to hear the audio. It's one of my favorite games. We just played it on New Game Plus, the podcast that I listened to a few weeks ago. I missed it because I had a business trip, but I got to talk to the guy that did the soundtrack for this game, and it was just phenomenal. Like, the soundtrack for this game is phenomenal. The same person also did the soundtrack for UT99 or Tyrion, which is a great game as well, and a few other games. I mean, I recognize this sound from Unreal, and he has a great face. His name is Alexander Brandon, and he has a great Facebook where he's posting about all the games that he has worked on. He's working on. He worked on Deus Ex, and you can actually hear the signature sound. His signature sound. It's kind of cool because it's somewhat easily recognizable. But let's play Capture the Flag today. I'm gonna turn down the rule. Actually, let's see. I'm gonna keep the rules at adept. It's actually I love this game. I used to play this game so much I used to get hand cramps. At this skill level, it's still really easy, but my mouse sensitivity isn't right. A lot of things aren't right, and I haven't played it in a while. So let's just see how it goes. So last month, is it too loud? No, it's not. So last time I talked about doing NaNoWriMo, and yeah, I really need to mute this because this is gonna bother me. Let's go ahead and change the preferences. Hopefully they have like an easy, like master music. Let's turn that down. Sound volume. Yeah, that's cool. So that I can hear it, but you guys don't have to hear it, or you all don't have to hear it. No, it's very quiet. All right, cool. So last time I talked about doing NaNoWriMo, and I started on NaNoWriMo, and I was doing what I called, or what I guess we called FrankenNano with the podcast Type Hammer, and a bunch of us got together to write stories and basically tried to get the 50,000 word count together rather than separately. And I thought that that would be pretty easy, but it turned out to be pretty hard because if you don't write every day, you get into a situation where you're out of practice and it's difficult to start. So I actually found it more difficult to write, stories bit by bit rather than trying to write 50,000 word books. And I know it sounds funny, but I had such a hard time writing 4 stories. I wrote one, or I almost finished writing one story. Oh, this is such a cool thing. Look at that. I can do a ball and I can explode it in the middle. That's really cool. Wow, my aim is bad. Anyway, so I thought it would be easier, but it turned out to be much more difficult, and I ended up not being really able to finish it. So I spent an entire week, and I messed it up. I feel really bad about it. And one of the reasons why I'm having a hard time writing these days is because every time I write, I feel guilty about the fact that wow, that was pretty easy. I always feel pretty bad about the fact that I have a backlog of books that I need to edit, and that always keeps me back. And I have one specific book, and it's a book that I wrote like 4 years ago that I really need to finish. And it was my goal for this year, but obviously I didn't get it done. I don't really know what I'm doing. Here, oh, there we go. Oh, cool. Oh, I'm dominating this. Let's turn up the difficulty. Anyway, so I wanted to finish it this year, but I had just like such a hard time with it, and I could not. Oh, it adjusted to masterful. Let's do inhuman, I guess. Yeah, there we go. And one of the reasons is that it's written in a way that I don't write anymore, and it's a genre that I don't really like writing anymore. I used to write young adult science fiction, and that's just really not something I enjoy doing anymore. But I really need to finish it, otherwise I'm just never gonna get through it. A few weeks ago, or I guess maybe it was last week, I actually tweeted about the fact that I wrote a book that I really liked a couple of years back called Rise of Toria, and I'll provide a link on the bottom. And that's pretty much been like the pinnacle of my writing. I was just I loved that book so much. I loved writing it, I loved editing it, and I just love the book in general, you know. And since then, oh, whoops, I've had a really hard time. Is there a Redeemer down there? Yeah, I had a really hard time writing, or just getting back into that genre, because it was a sci-fi. I wrote a sci-fi. I was really happy with how that sci-fi ended up, and I was just, you know, I felt like, hey, I don't really want to write anything of this genre anymore. I want to write something else, and I started reading different kinds of books. Anyway, wow, did somebody use it? How did that happen? That's weird. Oh, sniper. That's what it is. All right, let's go get it. Yeah, it was a sniper for sure. Let's try to jump around, jump around, jump around, jump around. You know what? This game's taking up way more attention for me than I thought it would. Anyway, so that's kind of my experience. The other thing is I wanted to do a hackathon, but the problem that came up was the fact that I just got really horribly busy in November. It was my birthday. I had several business trips, and oh, come on, come on. Oh, I ran out of ammo. Why? Why did I run out of ammo? Yeah, I had several business trips, and I just ended up having no time at all. And I ended up not really liking the format of the hackathon either. It was with, what was it with? With Product Hunt. And Product Hunt is a solid website, and it was also in partnership with Indie Hackers. Indie Hackers, again, solid website. Solid blogging, solid effort. Like, I really like them. The problem is that they wanted you to build like a landing page. They wanted you to have like that full experience of just creating all of this from scratch, and at the end of the month having something that you can just, you know, you can start driving people to. But that's not something that I wanted to do. What I wanted to do is spend the entire time building a product that I believed in. And then focus on the marketing part, because I can handle the marketing part. That's not or I can handle building marketing websites. That's not the problem for me. I really just need to finish the product. That's my problem. Nice. I haven't gotten an ultra kill forever. Ah, I really am not a good sniper. Anyway, I ended up basically not doing it at all. I'm gonna focus on the game because I want to get a monster kill. I lost my count, didn't I? Wish I had a better sensitivity on my mouse. So as you can tell, I kind of failed my my goals for November, and that's okay. There were a few things that I learned along the way, and there was that I like productivity, but the thing that holds me from productivity are things not really having to do with productivity itself. You know, it's not that my to-do list is not set up right, and it's not perfect, but it's okay that it's not perfect. The bigger problem is that I don't have I almost want to say healthy lifestyle. Not a healthy lifestyle, but a lifestyle that would allow me to focus on side projects outside of work. Now, my work doesn't take over my life. I work, you know, just like anybody else, and I feel like I'm productive at work, and the fact that I feel productive at work makes it really makes it kind of a weird thing that I don't feel productive. Oh, cool, I forgot about these things. Don't feel productive outside of work. Anyways, so I'm going in circles, aren't I? No. So what I ended up basically discovering is that one of the most important things having to do with with productivity is something that I don't often hear mentioned, and it's really self-care. Caring about your own body, caring about your own mental sanity, basically caring about your well-being. Why can't I get in there? Oh, well, whatever. You know, so blogs usually talk about, well, you need to set up your system, you need to do this, you need to put together, I don't know, your to-do list this way, GTD, and all this other stuff. And I don't feel like that's really helpful. What I feel like is the most helpful is really taking care of your body, and then taking care of your body, mind, and your time, and being very mindful of how you work. And then you can focus on other things. Whoops. Well, that sucked. Then you can focus on other things like, you know, trying to be as best as you can with your to-do list and keeping up velocity, keeping up momentum with your efforts. And so this year was supposed to be a year of productivity for me, and it ended up being kind of the opposite. I did get a bunch of stuff done, you know, don't get me wrong. I got a good deal of things done, and I'm really happy with them. But the problem has been just the fact that I had a baby boy, and I have 2 kids, and I'm not sleeping well because my kids aren't sleeping well, and then there's some stress from work, and you know, I'm used to, from I guess before I had kids, I was very much used to being able to take care of myself and take breaks for myself and things like that, and I just don't have that option anymore. I don't have that option anymore with kids and a life where I'm not the only person I'm responsible for. And I think that in a previous vlog, somebody mentioned that, you know, only if I didn't have kids I could be so much more productive, and that's not really the point, right? Like, I want to have kids. I like having kids. I like the fact that I have kids. I love my kids. It's just that it's more difficult to create a balance, especially when you're used to not having to think about that balance. You know, you're used to not having to think about, do I get enough sleep? You're used to not having to think about, you know, am I getting enough time for myself, and so on. That wasn't a concern for me when I didn't have kids. So my year of productivity, like I said, turned into a year of shit. A year of not enough shit. A year of just frustration, because I would set out plans and things would be working well, and I would have things would be really working well, and I would have you know, time to do the things that I needed to do, and then my son would start teething, and that meant a few nights of no sleep, then you can't focus, and then something's going on at work, so you have to, like, you know, maybe put in a little bit of, you know, overtime if necessary, or not even overtime, but just you have to adjust your schedule a little bit so that it fits better to the needs of not just your company but your personal life, because maybe there are other things going on as well. And so that's been just such a pain to me, just trying to figure all this out. So what I want to do in 2018 is focus more on my well-being rather than on accomplishing 15 tasks a day or doing anything like that. I think I'm going in circles. Oh, let me just pick these up. Hopefully nobody's going to snatch me here. Okay, cool. I can't map this out in my head. I don't know where I'm at. Anyway. So, yeah, so I wanted to look at more about self-care, and there was a great blog post that I read recently. I think it's called 200 Productive Hours, and it talked about how this one person got 200 productive hours a month. And 200 hours, it may not sound like much, but it's actually about 50 hours a week. And the person said that it took a lot of effort to get to that point, because they basically started at about 100 to 120 hours a month of productive time. And if you kind of do the math on that, 100 to 120 hours is actually not a lot. It's about, let's see, 100 divided by 4, it's about 25 productive hours a week. And if you're working 40 hours a week, that means that half of your time is not productive. And and I figured, you know, they would talk about project management, they would talk about setting expectations, you know, getting through a block. Ooh, cool, damage amplifier. But in the end, they actually talk about self-care. They talked about, you know, care for the environment where you work. You know, for example, clean up your office, clean up your desk, make sure that it's a nice area to work in. Remove distractions, and remove distraction, you know, not by using an extension or something. I guess they did actually mention extension, but by, let's say, using a separate computer for work and separate computer for leisure, right? And trying to cut out as many leisurely things from your work as possible. And I think there was like what's going on here? Oh, I keep getting thrown out. Ah. Cool. It talked about, you know, leisure is important, and I recognize that, but it also talked about, you know, just being able to, oh man, set up your time, or spend your time in such a way that when you want to be productive, you are, and when you don't want to be productive, you're not going to be productive. You know, leisure is leisure, and work is work, whether that's work for yourself or for somebody else. And that was just impactful. And so they talked about, this person talked about the environment, but they also talked about a few other things. They talked about the body, you know, get enough sleep. They don't want to, you know, they want to get enough, you want to get enough sleep, right? And if you get enough sleep, that's more important. Getting 8 hours of sleep is more important than doing 6 hours of sleep and getting 2 hours of extra work, right? The person also talked about that once you top out at 50 hours a week, you're not going to be productive anymore. And if you feel like you're being productive, it's really just a fallacy. I think it just adjusted the skill to be like masterful. I just realized that. Yeah, this game is the players are a little bit harder. Anyway, and I really like the approach of self-care leads to productivity. Self-care isn't leisure, right? Like, it's not talking about leisure. It's talking about caring for yourself, for your environment, for your stress levels. And like I said, I really like that. A huge fan of that. And I want to do that next year. I think next year I want to focus more on, I want to be okay as a person, you know, get sanity time for myself, away from the kids when I can. I spend a lot of time with my kids. Getting you know, taking care of my health as much as possible, taking care to get enough sleep, because I've noticed, you know, it's very apparent that if you don't get enough sleep, you're really just yeah, if you don't get enough sleep, you can't focus on anything. Like last night, I think I got an hour and a half of sleep. I'm having trouble focusing. I'm doing this vlog while I'm playing a game, which is really, I'm just realizing that it's kind of a bad idea, but it helps me. It actually helps me focus, because I think I would run out of things and out of things to say and be very quiet. And when I do now, at least there's something to watch. Oh, cool. Plasma rifle. Is that what it's called? No, shock rifle. What is this? Let's get Ripper. Is that what it's called? I really like the shock. Oh, this one's the best one. Nice. Oh, where am I headed? Okay, cool. Anyway, a few of the other things that it talked about is, you know, getting exercise. And when I think about exercise, I think to myself, all right, well, I like exercising, but when I have, you know, a limited amount of time, I always think to myself, like, hey, maybe I should do a little bit of like work on my side project rather than trying to exercise, because I barely have enough time as is. But then you realize that that exercise keeps your mind sharper and keeps you more productive. when you actually do the work. And so I think that is like an important thing, like these trade-offs of I'm going to spend my time away from work because that's going to make my work more productive, more impactful, and yeah. So that's what I really want to focus on. I'm going through in circles here. I'm not gonna want to publish this, am I? Okay, I'm still gonna publish it, I think. I'm still going to. I'm gonna not like myself for it, and I'm gonna hate the fact that like this is what it is, but I'm still gonna do it. Let's finish this level. Yeah. I wonder if is there anything else I wanted to talk about? I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. I mean, these were the most important things. Maybe some of the projects that I've been wanting to work on. I don't know. Actually, one of the things that I realized recently was that I think I'm gonna call it. Hey, I played this level already. I call it like validation of product ideas through. I haven't played this one. I've never played this one actually. Wow. Hey, I think this is a map that. Is it a new map? Maybe it came with an update? I don't know. I always played the vanilla version from when Unreal Tournament came out. So validation through successful ideas. There were a lot of ideas over time that I've had for products that I started working on and dropped because I felt like they were invalid. They would not work out. If that, oh, that person has a redeemer. Oh no, I can't believe that. Anyway. And what I often saw happen was the fact that somebody else came up with a similar idea, and you know that's nothing new. This is how the industry works, right? Ideas aren't important. It's like the execution of ideas that's important. Whenever I see one of these ideas actually work out, I realize that my idea was a good one. I really needed to just stick with it, and you know I can adjust based on what I find out to be. Successful now. Yeah, I can adjust what I find successful, or like I guess I can learn from their mistakes and from their successes, and can adjust my thinking based on that. So one of those is there's a website called dev.to, and it's basically like Medium, right? The blogging engine or whatever, but for developers. And it features a bunch of cool stuff, and one of them is that you can repost content and have it canonically link back to your original blog instead of basically having to give up your content for somebody else's sake. You still link back to your original content, and that's nice. Anyways, so I had this idea. I called it Ludus, like the learning grounds for gladiators, and I started building it a bunch of years ago. And I got to an MVP, and I gave up. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do it. I don't think it's going to work. There are already a bunch of sites like this. There was D-Zone at the time. There was goodtutorials.com at the time. There were a bunch of other websites like that. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to be successful because there are already these successful websites. And when those websites started failing and not really progressing, my thinking was, well, it's already the end of it's end of the era. Nobody's going to want to do this. Everybody's posting to their own blogs. Like, why would anybody want to... you know, go get on my website when this is such an outdated concept? And it's not entirely flawed thinking, right? Like, you know, you look at the market and you make sure that what you're wanting to do is actually viable. And what I just really like this idea of looking at things that work today, and you know, looking at the things that I wanted to build, and just seeing what people did. Nice. Oh, man. Another product like that has been, let's see, the first time I've experienced this actually was years and years ago as a developer on Forest. And Forest was a website where you could post designs and developer ideas, and people would rate them and give you constructive feedback. And it since then died, or it was bought out by Zerb, and it turned into something much, much better called Tavern. I really, really loved it, but then it died out. I don't remember why they canceled it, but I'm sure they had a good reason. Anyway, and this was back in the day when vertical rhythm was like a thing, was a huge thing in the design industry, or in the web development, web design industry. People talked about it all the time. You gotta space out your images and everything in the proper way, because vertical rhythm makes it easier to read and you're gonna have higher conversion rates. So I built a library that automatically resizes images to fit your vertical rhythm. And I was really proud of it. I posted it, and it got some, barely any feedback. And then another developer who was really popular at the time, I'm not going to mention his name because it doesn't really matter, created basically the same thing, maybe a little bit more polished, and he got like hundreds of comments and a lot of feedback, and people started using it and creating pull requests, and it was just nuts because I had the same exact idea, and I was really, really pissed off because I'm like, man, I just fucking built this. I just posted this last week. And a huge part of it was the fact that he had a huge Twitter following, and he was very well known. And so what happened was that his clout, I guess you could call it, won out over me getting there first. And that was an important lesson as well. But I also realized that I can't get angry about that. I mean, he didn't know about my library. That wasn't the issue. The issue was just the fact that, either I didn't market it well, I didn't polish it well, but it validated my idea. That it was one thing I learned that I needed to learn from it was that it was a valid idea. Wow, jumping headshot, that was nice. It really validated my idea. It made me realize that my approach, my thinking developer-wise, was the right one. There was another thing that happened with the vertical rhythm. I built a Chrome extension that would show you if everything is aligned correctly or not, and where it's misaligned. And I think that a week or like a few months later, obviously it didn't have any success, but a few months later, somebody else came up with the same exact thing. It wasn't even like more polished. It was just they came up with the same exact thing, and I guess people were more ready for it. And it garnered a lot of success and a lot of talk, and people were really happy about it. People were like, hey, this is amazing. This is like what we needed. Like, why isn't this built into the browsers? I remember that. And it was just really crazy. Again, my idea was validated. It's just either the execution or there was some other issue. And these will continue. But every time I think to myself that somebody created something, let's just say dev.to already exists. So that means that, well, there's no market space for me to build. Oh, this is gonna hurt. Oh, I even got a vertigo watching that. Why did I do that? Anyway, so every time I see a product that kind of mirrors an idea that I had, it makes me feel validated that yes, I have good ideas. And then, yeah, I don't know. I guess that's pretty much it for today's vlog. Maybe I'll talk about this more next time. Thank you for watching.